Hey friends, I just wanted to put a disclaimer in here very quickly that this is a long video that I created about spirituality and practices that I've used to overcome erythrophobia. The full video is on the YouTube channel if you'd like to watch that. It's in the description below. But this is part one where I'm giving backdrop of my religious background, and then there will be a part two that talks about those spiritual practices. So enjoy the video. So spirituality it's a buzzword, right? Like everybody's claiming some sort of spirituality, but what does it actually mean? Ultimately, it's a belief bigger than yourself. It's that we are connected to something divine beyond human nature. It is attached to this inner voice. Maybe it is the inner voice. It's just knowing that you're like interconnected to everything and everyone somehow. I believe that we can really tap into deep spirituality when we are living from our most authentic place. They go hand in hand. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. I want to talk to you about how I healed myself from erythrophobia and how spirituality helped significantly. So I'm going to share a few practices that helped me along the way. But before we get started, hi, I'm April. I'm a transformation and empowerment coach. I had erythrophobia for about 6 years. I was able to heal myself and overcome the fear of blushing. I utilized a combination of exposures, body work, and other mechanisms that I talk about on this channel that helped me get to a place of freedom and liberation from turning red, the fear of turning red, and it really decaying my self-worth. It helped me open up my voice, find my compassion for myself and my self-worth, step into my power, and take back my power. I've worked in numerous executive corporations in leadership positions. I have authored 2 books. I've been on live TV. I've been in Fortune magazine, and I share all of these accolades with you to let you know that I am equipped to talk about what I'm talking about because I've been there and done that and shown up and literally gotten the t-shirt. But better than any accolade or award or any title I could ever receive, I have had the honor and privilege of meeting with people literally from all over the globe who are suffering or dealing with or who have overcome or have this condition of erythrophobia from chronic blushing or skin flushing. I believe if I could heal myself from erythrophobia, then you can too. Healing is possible. And when I heal, I help you heal. And when you heal, you help other people heal. So here on Blushing Phoenix, we empower passionate, creative, and ambitious people who are held back by erythrophobia or other social hindrances to confidently show up in the world by just reframing those negative thoughts around blushing and empowering you to thrive on your own terms through transformative action. If I can beat erythrophobia, you can too. And I hope today's video is just what you need. So let's get started. I'll give you a bit of background. I was not raised as a religious or spiritual person. Where I came from, it's like everybody is Christian in the South, in the US. It's just like, you just are because grandma and them were, and you just know Jesus, and you might go to church every once in a while, but you are a Christian. So that's how I was raised. Like, I'm a Christian, but I don't know why I'm a Christian, just because my grandma said so. It wasn't until my early 20s that I actually, on my own, started to explore religion and Christianity, non-denomination, and started really getting heavy into ministry and just like had this whole awakening moment through the power of Jesus. And it was liberating and exciting and wonderful in the beginning. About 8 years into that journey, I started feeling like I was reading the red writing, which in the Bible, the red writing is Jesus's words. And the life around me, which was a very Christian life, Jesus-led life, felt very different than those red words that I was reading in the Bible. I know this is very controversial, especially if you're a Christian, but this is my story on my channel and I'm sharing it. I ultimately believe that Jesus woke me up to leaving that religion. Now, I'm not talking about Jesus, like for real Jesus. I'm talking about this spiritual aspect, this embodiment of spirit. I don't know what to call it. I think if you actually can define and know everything about it, then it's not God, it's not spirituality. You've just created something yourself. So this is my story again. That's all the disclaimers I'm gonna do. I felt very disconnected in religion. I was doing all the things. I was in ministry. I was helping the people. I was reading the Bible. I was praying. And I was always kind of a weird Christian too. Like, even in Christianity, you have those layers of like, well, you're a little too Christian. Like, I can speak tongues. I have a lot of giftings that you have to go to like the weird churches for that to be accepted, not the non-denominational churches usually. But I was really deeply connected to something beyond myself, but I was feeling very disconnected from the world and the religion around me. So one day I was sitting on my patio and I was reading the Bible, and I just felt really enslaved. And I looked up and I looked out into the like tree line in front of me, and I said to myself, this is not freedom. And I felt like I was talking to this person of Jesus where I was like, this is not freedom. At this particular time, I was not flushing yet. That's not something that was happening all the time. I didn't have the situation with my boss where he pointed it out and then it became like a thing from there. It would happen every once in a while, but not enough that made me question or think or feel any different about myself. I was a woman who was practicing and teaching this religion for so many years, and yet at this point in my life, I felt more in bondage than I did when I began the ministry. It's almost like I traded my enslavement to the world to enslavement of religion. And in non-denominational type spaces that I've been in, we claim like, oh, it's not religion. It's still religion. Just a more modern way of doing it. So one of the Christian practices is to be in community, because you can't be trusted alone, because then the devil will get into your thoughts, but he can't really penetrate your thoughts, but then you can't trust yourself because you'll get away from the pack. And if you get away from the pack, then it's easier for you to get taken and drug off into the devil's dungeon, so to speak. So I was meeting with a friend for coffee every Friday. We would meet for coffee before work, and it was our way of staying in community and staying connected and accountable to each other. I freaking hated going to this coffee. I hated it so much. And every Friday morning, well, Thursday night I would dread it. And then Friday morning I would wake up and I would feel sick and my sinuses would be acting up, or I'd have a migraine. And eventually, after meeting with her, like pushing through, because I know the devil's trying to keep us apart, I would meet with her and I would leave and I would just feel empty and not enjoying. I didn't feel like we were being authentic when we're just like two Christian girls having coffee, talking on the surface of everything, but like not actually diving deep. At the same time, I was working in addiction treatment. And this is one of the most like raw and real environments you could ever be in. And I was working with people from all different backgrounds, different religious backgrounds, a lot of people who are in recovery, a lot of people who literally have died and come back alive. And these were some of the most incredible people I've ever worked with and ever met in my life. It was the most authentic environment. And even me as a Christian woman, I was fully accepted there. And I felt like life was so much more real working with people who had overcome addiction than being at my coffee every Friday with my Christian friend. So anyway, I wanted you to see the comparison of the two, because this is a big part of my background. The addiction treatment space, totally fine, feeling great there. The coffee with my Christian friend where I'm in community and accountability, horrible, hate it. So one day I decided to stop questioning myself, my intuition, and stop putting my power out into this space of like, you can't trust yourself. You got to be in connection and fellowship with people. You got to. And I was like, you know what? I don't like meeting up with her. I'm not going anymore. So I canceled and told her that I don't want to be on a recurring coffee date. We can meet, when we feel like it from time to time, but this is not something that really fits into my schedule or my life right now or ever. So I just started spending Friday mornings alone, and I enjoyed it so much more. I liked being with myself. I liked writing in my journal or sitting alone or listening to music. I just enjoyed that more. Fast forward some years and I am still going to church. It's kind of hit or miss. I've been in, I've been out. I'm trying to find where I belong in this space, because I never really feel like I belong. And one day I was standing in my kitchen, I was making breakfast, and I looked at my husband and I said, I'm going to say something out loud. And I don't know how it's going to come out, but I just need you to listen to me. And he said, okay. I'm pretty sure, like, now that I think about it from his perspective, he's probably like, what the fuck? I was like, I don't want to go to church anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. And my husband goes, I've been waiting on you. And we both decided in that moment, like, we're done with this. It feels like bondage. I don't want to do it anymore. We don't even know why we're doing this. And if anything, I feel like this has been the stepping stone that's getting me to this next place in my spirituality. Like, to be enslaved to doctrine and religion is not freedom, especially in a religion that claims freedom. It's gaslighting at its finest. It is so much manipulation. So that evening, I was laying on my couch, and I had anxiety since 2011. I wrote a book about it called Pressing Forward. Feel free to check that out. It's in the description box. I wrote this book about debilitating anxiety, depression, and suicidal ideations, and really tapping into my authentic self in order to overcome depression and anxiety. I mean, it was so bad. And it's the first time I ever really experienced anything like that before in my life. And in that book is really written from a very religious standpoint. And I'm talking about how it was through talking to Jesus that saved my life. And I 100% still believe that. Just because this is where I'm at now, it doesn't discredit anything or any of the freedom I experienced by getting to know this spirit of this essence, of this being, of this deity, of whatever that may be. I really believe that saved my life multiple times. And so I don't want to take away from any of that. It's the bondage of the religion, though, and my own experience. I had anxiety every single morning, like morning anxiety. I thought it was normal just to wake up and be like sick to your stomach and have diarrhea and not have an appetite. I just thought that was normal. I had no idea that was anxiety that I had for just life, living life. But that night I was laying on my couch and I said it out loud to myself. I was alone and I said to myself, I don't believe any of this anymore. I'm letting it go. And I felt this flow, this like vibration of anxiety start at my head, move all down my body, all through every ounce of my body and out of my toes. And it left me. And this had to be like 2017-ish, 2018-ish, probably 2018. And I've not felt that type of anxiety ever since. It's like when I let go of religion, the bondage, that I can't trust myself, I can't believe myself, I can't think for myself, I have to always be looking to this outside source for everything. Every ounce of anxiety that was with me all the time left my body. And it's almost as if this feeling of this deity or this spirituality or this God that was always out there, like close, but out there, it just kind of like wrapped up around me like a cocoon, and I became one with it and it became one with me. And it was the most beautiful experience that I've had in that sense of I became one with it, and it's like it was waiting on me. And I never questioned again who I am in that sense of my spirituality. My intuition got stronger. A visual aspect of some of my gifts got brighter. My writing was so much more clearer. And it's like this divide between me and this God or universe or whatever you want to call it, it was gone. And thus this began my spiritual journey. I tell you all that because I want you to have a little bit of backdrop of where I came from and these practices that I'm going to share with you and how they helped me. I'm not saying that you can't be a Christian or whatever your religion is in order to be free from erythrophobia. I'm just sharing with you my own experience, and religion created more bondage on top of issues I was already having with my own freedom and my self-worth and my compassion for myself and trusting myself. And growing up, shutting my voice down, shutting my presence down, shutting my essence down to give that authority to somebody else outside of me, whether that be a parent or work or religion, that just had to go for me. So don't hear just religious aspect unless that's something that resonates with you and you want to look into that. But don't get hung up on your belief system. If it's yours, it's yours. If it's working for you, it's working for you. It was working for me for like 8 years. Honestly, I believe the reason why in 2011, when I had debilitating anxiety and depression, the reason why I'm still alive today through that season is because of the religion that I had during that time. It served its purpose and it served its time.
Rise up, rise up, rise up. When you've had enough, when the crowd gets rough.